This is Algebra Lesson 7.2, Solving Inequalities. The example A says, Aaron says, I got less than 5 hours of sleep last night. I usually sleep 8 hours, but I lost a quarter hour every time the dog barked. Find the number of times the dog barked. So I'm going to take this piece by piece. I see less than 5 hours. So I'm going to start with less than 5. I usually get 8, so there's usually 8, but I lose, that's going to be a negative, a minus, I lose a quarter hour. Hour is my variable that I'm represent with x every time the dog barks. So we are going to solve the inequality x minus 0.25x is less than 5. You solve inequalities basically the same way that you solve equalities. We drop the line on the equal or the unequal, and we're going to minus or add on both sides to eliminate our constant, and then we're going to divide on both sides to get rid of our rate of change or our slope. So I'm starting with a minus 8 because I have positive 8. We're going to do the same thing on both sides of the equation, or inequality, my bad. So that would be negative 1/4 x remaining, still less than, and 5 take away 8 is negative 3. Now the second step in solving an equality would be to divide by the slope. This is going to be the same thing, but there is a little twist. So I'm going to divide by negative 1/4, divide by negative 1/4. That's going to eliminate. The x is still there. What changes, though, is whenever you divide by a negative or multiply, divide by negative, what's going to happen is your inequality symbol is going to flip. It was a less than, now it's a greater than. Sign flips. So when I do negative 3 divided by negative 0.25, I get a positive 12. So interpreting this answer in our context, the dog barked more than, greater than 12 times. Letter B says solve the inequality, then graph the solution. So the first one I have here is 3x minus 2 is less than 7. We're going to solve this the same way we would solve an equality. I'm going to start by adding 2 to both sides. That gives me 3x, still less than or equal to, the sign we had stays the same, and now 7 plus 2 is 9. Second step is just like an equality. We're going to divide both sides by 3. And we're dividing by a positive number, so our sign stays the same. So our final answer is x is less than or equal to 3. Now I'm going to graph this the same way that we graphed it in the previous lesson. We're going to circle 3 on the number line. We are going to color it in because we have that or equal to on our inequality symbol. And it's a less than. My arrow points to the left, so I am going to shade to the left. And that's it. Letter B says 4 less than x is greater than 6. So step 1 would be to get rid of the 4. People tend to want to do a minus, or they want to do a plus 4 because they see a minus behind the 4. But remember, the minus is on the x, not on the 4. So to get rid of a positive 4, I am going to do a minus 4. Don't be tempted to do a plus 4 because you see the minus afterward. 6 take away 4 leaves me with 2. That minus is still in front of the x, now becoming a negative x. So to get rid of a negative in front of an x, we need to divide by the negative invisible 1 that's in front of that x. When we divide by a negative, our sign is going to flip. So this negative 1 is going to cancel the negative 1. We have x left over, but it's now going to be a less than, where it was a greater than, and 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2. So I'm going to circle negative 2 on my number line. I am not going to color in the circle. I'm going to leave it an open circle. And I have a less than, so I'm going to shade to the left. Shade the same direction that your symbol is pointing. And letter C, we have 3 plus 2x is greater than or equal to 3. First step, get rid of that constant. Take away 3 from both sides. We have a positive 3 to cross off. We do a minus 3. 2x is still 2x. Greater than or equal to is still greater than or equal to. And a negative 3 minus 3 gives me negative 6. Second step would be to divide by that slope. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. X is still greater than or equal to. And now we have a negative 3. Sign stays the same. It only flips whenever you divide by a negative. So we're going to circle negative 3 on our number line. We're going to shade because it is inclusive of that negative 3. And my greater than points to the right, so I'm going to shade to the right. That is it for the notes. Good luck on the exercises, and please let me know if you have any questions.